Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we can't do Twitter now. Okay, apparently you can't do Twitter now. Excellent. All right. Oh, looks like we're live. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of The Art Will Not Be Changing. I am really excited to have with me tonight the great Marcus Capitelli, our co-host for the evening, editor-in-chief, editor-in-arms.
Yeah, you're the editor-in-chief.
Oh, that's right. You're the senior editor. I just gave you a promotion, and I'm out of the company.
Well, I also beat people up for the company. So, wait, was this live?
he's our Rocky Balboa early in the movie.
No, he means the sandwich.
Tonight we're going to be meeting with James Lines. James, are you there? No, James is running late. James is off doing some superhero stuff, but don't tell him I told you. It's a secret. And the incredible, I am so glad to have him on, Ryan Santos. Or as I put in the advertisement, Ryan Hurricane Samson Santos. Did you like that nickname I gave you? Is that cool?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Hurricane Samson.
It's all right. It's all right.
James is putting
I
on
used
his
to be
face.
I used to be the Rhino. That's what they used to call me.
Oh, is that right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we've got David Katz saying hello in the politest way possible.
Yes. In
And
his own inimitable style.
I am really excited. What we're going to do tonight, and James will be joining us shortly. Ryan is currently working with Steve Besha on a comic for Fugitive Poems called Dirty Living. And the art has all come in and will not be changing. The art has all come in, and it is magnificent. And we'll show some of it tonight. And give look at that, it's all up. Oh, how cool is that?
What?
No,
you prepared for this? Now I feel terrible.
That is so
He's
cool.
A pro.
They took down all the pictures of his family to pull this off.
I did.
Priorities.
I did. Well, I'm excited for it, so I just thought I'd show a little bit. Yeah.
The art is amazing. Inks, colors, everything is astounding. We've been getting the letters in. Remind me who's doing the lettering. I just blanked on his name.
Oh, geez, no, you have to put me on the spot like that. I'll remember.
Okay, it'll come.
But
back.
Anyway, yeah.
It's the only way he's getting paid. We got to throw his name out there. I'm joking.
So I'm waiting like any minute now for the letters to be done. So hopefully it'll get in. So
Ace Frehley, thank you. That's who it is. All right. So what we're gonna do tonight is we're gonna talk about the artistic process that goes into making comics. That which writers either assume is complete and utter magic, or we absolutely positively take for granted. And as writers, Mark and I, though Mark is also an artist and quite good, but he hasn't been doing comics. But as writers, we're going to sort of these guys. And Ryan, we're going to start with the big question, which is why the hell don't you people just draw what we write?
I mean, seriously.
Did we lose Ryan right at the punchline question?
Yeah.
There he is.
I can't hear anything.
Are you back? You seem to be freezing up.
Oh boy.
Are you there?
Am I here by myself?
Everybody.
Yeah. Can you see us?
I don't think I can see us.
Ryan, can you hear us?
Tommy.
So, Mark, tell us an interesting story. Tap dance a little.
Well, I was just thinking of professionalism in the world of comic book interview shows, and how we really need to work on that. We've had some serious technological issues here.
Well, so
No, I want my Ryan back. He's got to show us his amazing stuff. He's been working on fantastic artwork. I mean, some of the best I've seen in a long time, and I'm counting mainstream stuff. He's up there.
He's got his own style, and it's vibrant. It's electric. Boogie woogie woogie woogie. Well, you can see, you can feel the firepower behind it. Oh, there he is.
Literally, in some cases.
Yes. Hey, you're back.
What happened?
I don't know. We were talking, and you were gone. You were frozen.
Started waving, going, "Can you see me?" And we said,
All right. So here's the big question. Here's the big question we wanted to start with. As right. There's going to be a redo for the audience, but it'll be a surprise to you.
One more thing. I just wanted to say it was Keith Gleason doing the letters.
Keith Gleason. Thank you, Keith. There you go, Tom.
He feigned this whole thing so we could go look up his name.
I did. I had to get the phone book.
It sounded good.
Here's the big question. Why the hell can't you people just draw what we write? That's a starting question.
Well, we try to make it better.
Okay.
See? And there's the answer.
That actually leads me into the first serious question, which is, when you get a script, what's your process? What's the first thing you do when you get a script?
Well, when I first get a script, I actually just print all the pages out, like pretty much page by page. And I leave myself some room in the borders just to make little sketches. So as I'm doing the initial read, I'm putting in like little notes to myself. Oh, that's cool. That should be this. That could look like this. Just as a first pass, through the whole thing. And then I put it in a binder. I'll go over it again a couple times. Start taking my little sketches in the borders, in the margins, and then just kind of construct my thumbnails from there.
Do you seek out influences, styles? Do you? James isn't here, so I'll speak for him a little bit. I know sometimes a script of mine will put him in mind of a different sort of art style that he hasn't really done before, or that it'll make him think of something, and he'll do a little research in art history.
If I may, I think the word is inspiration.
Well, yes, yep.
Yeah.
One script that we worked on, he went to, I'm blanking on what it's called right now, but he went to a particular form of art from the Middle Ages that the script sort of brought to his mind. Do you do that? Do you go searching in any way?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, like what we worked on with Dirty Living, it's kind of like a crime noir kind of a story. So there's a lot of kind of noir influence, so there's like the film noir black sections and all that kind of stuff. That's really evocative of a detective story. So that's what fits with that genre. And then I just kind of mix myself into that too.
What are your
style? Yeah, and that's just kind of built into the story from the beginning.
What is like your primary noir reference?
Basically, it's a lot of like movie stuff. I was a huge movie fan, and then every movie fan goes through their, black and white crime, Maltese Falcon, and all the way through like all these kind of noirish kind of black and white movies, and it just really seeps into you. And then from there, it's just like the influences of like the people that do that in comics, like Mignola, or even I don't know. There's a few other
Miller.
Even Miller, definitely. He's really strong with those big black sections too. But
yeah.
So it comes from everywhere. Yeah, I don't put in too much research. Like I don't sit there and flip through books and really kind of figure it out that much. I just push myself towards that direction, as I go.
It's funny you mentioned the Maltese Falcon. It's my favorite novel, my favorite movie, and my eldest son's name is Dashiell, after the author Dashiell Hammett. So I'm right there with you.
Oh yeah, nice.
Mark, Well, you got want to jump in?
Well, I don't want to let that last one go for a minute there. Like, and I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass about this, but okay, so you've got this foundation of artists that you grew up reading and the rest of it. And for what I got from you is it's just more of a feel. When you're looking at the script, when you're thinking through in your mind's eye what everything looks like. Is that accurate? Did we lose him again?
Repeat it again?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm losing on.
Just basically, in terms of the process, is it basically you kind of feeling your way through it with all that foundation, with all that, great inspiration to go from? You read the script and you go, okay, what does this guy look like? Or does it just kind of flow right out?
Yeah, as far as character design goes, it depends how much is described. Especially when a story is beginning and the writer really has a specific look, specific design in mind.
All right, so that's going to lead to my...
Right, I'll do what they say. But as far as there's so many multiple characters and things to design. Like I designed the layout of the bar, I designed the churches and all these kind of things. That's where you can pull a lot of influences from a lot of visual.
Yeah, which you absolutely did.
Different movies.
Which you absolutely did.
So I always flip through architectural magazines, or look online for different things that are interesting.
Cool.
And just go from there. There's a lot of just
so.
I gotta draw a car, so let's look up a car. I gotta draw a bridge. What's that bridge look like? All these kind of things. So it could be a big long process, but I try to use as little of that as I can and kind of go by my gut a lot of the time.
All right.
I'll look things up, but then I'll usually kind of make it my own, kind of pare it down.
All right.
To the basic.
So what I'm dying to get out of you is, after what you just said, do you prefer when the writer gives you a lot of room to play around with the ideas, or do you like the artist to come straight out with an exact idea that they had and then maybe put your own spin on it?
Well, I think it's on the writer to really, if there's something specific they want or that it has to be, just let me know, right? If it's something you're not sure about or you just kind of have a general loose direction, you can just tell me that. Just it's kind of this or kind of that, that's fine. And if it's something you don't really care about, you could just kind of skim over that and let me have fun kind of figuring these things out. So a lot of it comes down to trust between what the writer wants and what the artist usually delivers. You get to kind of feel them out.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey,
Sorry I'm late.
Ryan, I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize it was going to be something like that. Welcome.
Well, anyway, thank you, Ryan. That was a good answer. Very good.
Actually, before I officially introduce James, I wanted to show. Oh, that's not working. Present. All right. I was going to show. Let's cancel that. I'll figure that out in a minute. I was going to show an image because one of the things that you drew amazingly in Dirty Living are cars and backgrounds, and you mentioned a bridge. And I'm picturing all of these panels while you're talking, and they are so good. They've got such depth to them, such reality, but also they've got your style. And I was really impressed with that. James, welcome.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm going to jump you right in with the question that we asked Ryan, which is, okay. Ryan, can you still hear
Ryan, how are you?
I feel like Ryan lost us again. Ryan, can you still hear us? I'm not sure what happened there.
Do some sign language.
Ryan, can you hear me? There he is. Hey, all right.
Can you hear us?
No, almost all right.
I don't know what happened. All right. Well, so the question, James, is when you get a script, what's your process? What's the first thing you do? How do you approach it?
I print it out because I don't like looking at things on the screen. Helps me to absorb it. I read it through a couple times to try to get myself into it and figure out if I see anything, what I like, what I don't like. Then I usually come and talk to you and see if there's any issues with what we're doing. And, sometimes we'll find small problems with the storyline or something. Like I think more visually than you do. So sometimes I'll, bring up something like, we can't have all the stuff going on in the hallway and stuff like that. But skipping ahead to the art process, I'll usually start with sort of concept sketches of characters, what I picture them as. Real loose stuff, not worrying about anything. I do look at a lot of reference and stuff when I get into more mature stages. But the first thing I do is I just just throw whatever comes at me onto. I like to work on printer paper, just because I don't feel intimidated. I can always just wrinkle it up and throw it out. But I usually play around with the main characters or something that sticks out to me. It could even be a scene or environment or something. So that's usually where I go, and then from there, it's I actually do a lot of kind of preparation in my head, as far as ideas go. Like I can, hash a lot of things out in my head before I start drawing anything because I see everything visually, like including. I guess most people do that, but when I'm reading, I'll see visuals and something will stick out at me, and I'll put that down on paper to sort of get the feel. And then, usually, when I get beyond sort of drawing some characters, I don't always draw all of them. Then I go in and start to figure out where in the script what am I most excited about, like what page or something, and then I'll start to sketch out something that's a little more full.
Ryan, how does that feel for you? Is that sort of your process as well?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's always exciting to do your favorite pages. I'm back.
I'm just pretending like nothing happened. We'll edit it in post.
Nice.
Now, James, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like James will just go the first scene that really popped into his head that really worked for him. He'll start with that, not necessarily in chronological order. Is that something you do as well?
Well, it's usually the thing that like excites you the most. That's usually like the hook that really like makes you interested and you want to get to that part. So you almost can't stop yourself from like kind of focusing on that first. I want to make sure the monster looks cool or whatever whatever it is that thing that really interests you, you just can't help but do it first.
Yeah.
I try to let it go so I can make sure the story works, but you just can't stop yourself sometimes.
I also will take that. I'll take that particular part of the story and start to work on a style that I think reflects it. Even before I start to go from page 1 to page 28 or whatever, I'll start to think about a particular style. I think it's dark, or I think it's light, scary, violent, gritty, cleaner, that kind of stuff. I usually figure that out, and then I sort of propagate that out to the rest later on.
What is so? Ryan, we'll start. Actually, James, we'll start with you here. What is your least favorite kind of panel to draw? Please don't say anything I write.
I don't really have a least favorite panel. Some things intimidate me though. Large crowds. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, as you guys know. So, I'll sit and I'll draw nostrils on 300 people if there's a crowd, and, and, make sure everything gets, I've gotten better at that, but especially if I'm doing digital, because you can just zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and I'll get lost in the detail work. And then, I pull out or we get it printed, and I was like, wow, you can't even see that. So it's like I've been working on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on this face that turns out to be like a size of a pinhead, and it's a lot of detail in there, but no one will ever see it.
Ryan, what about you? Least favorite?
Least favorite part? I'd have to say it's, I don't know, just talking heads is usually pretty boring. You know? That it's just like the same character this way, and now this way, and then this way. It's like, it's okay. It's not exciting. But when you get to like fights or any blood or any of this kind of monsters and stuff, that's where it gets fun. That's the fun stuff. I don't mind crowds. I like doing crowds and all this little crappy stuff in the background. That's kind of what I do. I don't get too small because I never do my inks and stuff digitally. It's all done on paper, so I can kind of gauge the size, and I can let myself, I can see it as what it's going to be. When you're on digital and you zoom in, it just gets too much. You can go so small, you lose track of the size and the scale of the page. So I do all my layouts digitally, all my rough pencils I do digitally. And then I'll throw it out onto paper.
Is that you, Christian, on there? He's got that scene in the bar up at top with the gorgeous woman. That one right there. Yeah. That's crazy to me, like how you fit all that in there, and it looks so good. You got all those people in there, and I love the staging on this one in particular. It almost looks like we're looking through a security camera or something. It's a real interesting.
It's really unique too, because you see these bar shots in a lot of comic work, and at the end of the day, there's people in the background, but it's just the two main characters. Here you've got it looks real.
There's another panel that I love the perspective on, that bottom panel.
Yeah,
just terrific. I wanted
the shoulder shot.
Yeah. I also wanted
over the shoulder. Yeah.
This panel. One thing I was talking about earlier with you was your attention to detail with cars and backgrounds. There's a mailbox in that shot. I don't know, it's hard to say, but those police cars are beautiful. And what I was saying to Mark when we lost you and we had to tap dance a little bit was that your cars are simultaneously realistic and stylized. They've got feel to them. They've got weight to them, but in your way. And I think that's amazing.
Something's going on. I can't. Oh, I missed that whole thing. I couldn't hear you. So what were you saying?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. I was saying that those cards that you do, they're simultaneously realistic, but also got your style on them. And they've got weight to them. They've got artistic weight and realistic weight to them, and I really think that's amazing. We've got Stephen Besha in the chat. Hi, gents. How you doing, Stephen? Stephen is the writer of Dirty Living, Ryan's partner in acting. How you doing, Stephen? And we, based on one of the drawings, Hi, You're Stupid has said Rick Ocasek is so lifelike. Thank you, Dave Sullivan. And yes, I agree with Stephen, that wrong thing, that the old lady is the best. Absolutely, 100% true.
Yeah, Mark, so that was like a character with no description. It was just like some old lady. So that's like where you could have fun. Like you could really dig your teeth into her, so I made her over the top.
Yeah. Her wrinkles have wrinkles. It's an incredible scene. Incredible image.
Oh yeah. She's memorable.
Yeah, I love it. It was one of the most striking things when we got those inks in. Mark, you want to jump in with one?
I don't know. Is he frozen? Yep.
Oh,
Wait,
boy.
you there? No, I could tell.
Well, ask James a question.
How you doing, James?
Oh,
There
he's back.
Keep losing you.
Is he back? There he is.
All right, let's just go ahead, Mark.
Okay. All right, I got one for you, James. Let's see. When I of course have the inside track on some of the folks here in the audience here in terms of your character design and particularly your alien design, which I happen to be a huge fan of. In terms of inspiration for that, I'm going to go straight up and say I've never seen anything that you could have possibly based those on. At least not altogether. Maybe some kind of amalgamation. I don't see. Where do you get it?
Are you talking about the alien in my story or the horror one that I've been working on?
Either one. I'm kind of talking about everything I've ever seen you do, right down to that lobster guy in that one with the
the lobster
the
guy.
fancy restaurant. And
Folks, you haven't seen it yet. There is a thus far unpublished fugitive poem short called Narcello's in the Valley.
Oh, that's right. It's not out anymore.
No, it'll be coming soon. Mark,
I kind of forgot that too.
there's some incredible aliens in it, and then we're also working on coming soon, Stripper Cliff Sally, and by we I mean James is working on it. And there's some creature. What Mark is really thinking about here is James's incredible creature features of an alien nature. So you guys will be seeing more of them. So forgive me for jumping in. Go ahead, James.
No. It's like anime, but without like the cartooniness. It's like, eyeballs with teeth, but it's freaky. Not whatever. So I guess, again, just in terms of inspiration, where do you get ideas like that? Is it just you sitting there and digging into the recesses of your diseased mind, or what do we got?
I think part of it is Christian always gives me these cool descriptions. He's always got this wild imagination. So with that one, I think it was the lobster arm. He mentioned lobster arms. So that was actually his idea. And I think it was also vertical eyes, like eyes that go sideways, almost like a flounder or something. From there, I just kind of riff on ideas. I draw stuff out. Sometimes when I'm drawing monsters or something, I always like to look at reference. So of course I'm putting lobster claws. I'm going to look at real lobsters, and I've always been a fan. I went to school for animation and so forth, so I was always doing a lot of character designs. So I think the most important thing about, especially a wild, out of this world, forgive the pun, alien or something, is I've always been a stickler for making it look like it could work. No matter how far out it is, I want the mechanics of the beast to work. And you can look at mechanics of living creatures, or of course even fantasy creatures. Like there's so many pictures of, just for an example, dragons out there. You can take a look and do a lot of research on dragons, even though they're not really. You can look at Japanese dragons or European dragons, or all the different types, the wyverns, and you can really kind of jump down a rabbit hole just on that, even though it's a mystical animal.
I went down a whole rabbit hole of Persian dragons for one script I wrote a while ago. The dragon tradition I knew nothing about, and it's fascinating.
It is, and just as an example, but you always look. I'm always looking at reference material, because, like I said, I want, even if it's just a blob, I want that blob to look like it can move around and really do something. That's kind of why I always like older movies where they had to put things together with their ingenuity and so forth, and not relying on computers, like The Blob, for instance. It's somewhat of a dated movie, but still a great movie to watch, because they had to figure out how to make that thing move and look convincing in real life. So that's kind of what we do with pencils and so forth, or at least someone who I think makes captivating artwork. is, you know, you're looking at things and you can picture that you have that gun in your hand or your sword or something like that. And I've never been a big fan of the super overemphasis of, you know, gigantic 8 foot long swords and stuff like that. I know a lot of people really like that kind of stuff, but I've always been a stickler for realism. Like in our Nazi werewolf piece, I was driving Christian nuts because I was looking at all the uniforms and the guns, and you know, telling them, hey, you know, just for example, you know, the U.S. Servicemen didn't have names on their uniforms in World War II, so that was in his script, for example. So we figure that stuff out, or I do. Christian would just go merrily along in his own way.
A quick way to get his name out there. It's on his uniform. James like, actually, they didn't have their name, but it's the name on the uniform.
But it's, you know, stuff like that I do in my development, whether it's weapons or aliens or even people. You know, I want to draw. I look at. I think I've said this on other shows. When I start to develop a character, I'll pick usually not one. I won't focus on one, but I'll focus on a couple of people there's a lot of pictures of them on the internet, just so I can see them from all different angles and so forth. So sometimes.
So you're like AI, is what you're saying.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, I'll take a look, and I mean, it's not really copying stuff, but you know, if I could take a look at someone and have pictures of them from all angles for reference, as opposed to trying to get someone to sit for me and hey, make this face or make that. I've tried that with my kids, but they only have so much patience for that. Yeah, I like to have a lot of reference pieces. So I'll put folders together, and like I said, it's usually not one, but it's an amalgam of sort of, you know, people that you can find a lot of pictures of online.
Ryan, what's the peak part of the process for you? Like where are you in your glory when you're drawing a script? What is it that the thing you're waiting for, and the thing that when you're at it, this is why I started doing this?
Yeah, I really like the penciling process, kind of like the design of the pages. That's like the gestural part of it, you know, make the people sit with it, make the pages work as a whole. You know, that's kind of the fun part. I really enjoy that. And then inking becomes like zen, like your brain stops working, you know, just in the zone. You know, you figured out so much doing the pencils that the inking becomes second nature, just following. You know,
James,
so it's
James,
like when I'm penciling, I can't listen to a podcast. I can only listen to music. But when I'm inking, I can mind focus on something else.
do we think that James is nodding? Do we think that that's true for most artists, that the majority of the creation goes into pencils rather than inks? Or do we think that are there some artists out there who they sort of sketch out with pencils and do their detail with the inks? What do you guys think?
Well, I know that Ryan's, you know, of course, showed me his process through there. Ryan does get really involved with his pencil a little more than me. So I've known people that don't do a lot of work with pencils, and then a lot of people that go overboard on the. I don't want to say overboard, but they'll do a lot more work in there. I tend to focus on when I'm doing pencils page layout, when I'm trying to do that, trying to figure out how the page flows and the characters, and I'll just sort of punch in background elements, but not really put a lot of detail into them. To get back to your question, Christian, what's my favorite part? I had trouble hearing Ryan, but I think he said that the inks were his favorite part. Pencils are his favorite part. I really like the ink phase because by then I've sort of figured out all the mechanics, and I don't have to worry about does that hand look right? Is the scale right? Is that leg too long and stuff like that? I've got that all worked out. So like Ryan said, I can kind of turn off my higher analytical functions and just sort of go in and groove to what's going on. This a lot of times, I listen to music through all the processes, but that's really where I have to be listening to music. And I can really just work on, what am I doing with the material as opposed to, are the mechanics and the drawing right? Am I getting attention in the right spot and so forth? So that's usually kind of the culmination for me, is putting that ink in some place, putting detail in where I need to and taking detail away where it doesn't need to be and so forth.
Mark, you want to field one?
I don't know. No, I mean, I think we're starting to repeat ourselves a little bit here with that part of the creative process. So that's cool.
Artists are really.
I feel like we got a good, thorough answer out of both of you guys. But Ryan, do you have something?
Oh gosh, did we lose him again?
Oh man,
he's thinking really hard.
Boston is Boston's apparently a dead zone, or Massachusetts, or yeah. Let me, while we wait for Ryan. Up, yeah, he's back.
There he is.
Back.
You were got motion.
You were about to say something.
Oh,
yeah. It sounded like you were saying something.
Yeah, I just said that there's many different ways to go about it. And, it just depends on the artist's, schedule, how they operate. Some people are really heavy into pencils. Some people just do light pencils and take it all and do it all in the ink. It just depends on what your process is and what works best for you.
Do you see your drawings when you're penciling and inking? Are you already thinking colors? Do you have colors in mind? Is it colored in your mind, or are you purely in black and white?
I'm thinking colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you do it, you're kind of coming up with a plan, like what's how intense these colors are going to be, what color is this, what color tie does he wear, like all these kind of things. It's always in the back of your mind, You want to make it work without the color. It should work as a page without the color. So if it works either way, the color will just add to it. So I always think of color as just part of the process.
Yeah, I agree. Color can be very distracting. I try to keep it out of the process. I mean, I'm thinking about it, obviously, but I think if you're more of a beginning artist, you want to make sure that your tones are there, your contrast, all that. It can be worked out in pencils, or it can be worked out. Sometimes when I'm in my process, I'll do things in black and white, and then particularly with traditional, if I'm coloring traditionally, I'll start off with kind of a black and white undertones and then put the colors on top. And a lot of my colors are just kind of washes on top. But I think that's very important. You can't fool anyone with colors. You got to have a solid foundation to get those colors on top.
Oh, yeah.
Christian, can I jump in with a question here? Because I actually, with all of this, I kind of want to bring it back to before even that point in the creative process. You're handed the script. And Ryan, in your particular case, you're handed this script. First thoughts?
The number one thing is just kind of like getting through it. Like I want to read it as a whole, right? And I just want to get. Am I frozen?
You're back. You're with us.
We're hearing you. We're hearing you.
All right. All of you. So I basically want to get the whole script in my body, So I want to read the whole thing as a solid object, and I want to get the feel for the whole issue, and that'll help to kind of see where it needs to, where any editing needs to happen, because I always look at it. The script is never finished. I kind of think of, if something needs to change, this is when I have my chance to.
Well, you're very right. It's never finished.
That's what the writer wants to hear, is that the script is never finished. I finished it and I gave it to you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, but
And
the
the
soldiers
editor's here to
don't have
swing it
name
over.
tags.
Like, I think that's one thing that's cool about this medium is, you can sit and I'm not going to sit and say writing a novel is an easy thing, but you can sit and you can say in 5 words what might take 2 pages in a comic to do. I think that's what's cool about the medium is that it has to be living. It has to live beyond the writer's pencil or the writer's typewriter or word processor. I'm dating myself here. Or it's got to live beyond that and get to the other players, right? If it doesn't do that and someone's too rigid, then it's going to come up short. It's going to come up plastic because you can sit. Some of my favorite writers are people that can lay out a storyline. Robert Jordan comes to mind for me. Huge fan. You can sit and he'll describe everything like down to the greatest details, and you're kind of at the end you're standing in the road next to your characters and so forth. But the visual medium is different, so it's got to live. And at least with Christian and I, when that process continues, it just gets better and better, right? It goes to the next level. A lot of times, when Christian and I are working on something, he's working on the second issue or something, he'll add things in from what I did to the artwork or I did to the characters or something. And I think that's an exciting part of it is no one man or woman can really claim to be the only owner of a story, I guess, unless you hire hired hands and tell them to do exactly what you want, but that's going to be plastic anyways.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing is, the collaborative process is what really gives it that extra life, that extra zhuzh. But I really like what you said, Ryan, about just taking it kind of all in at once, because everybody I think is a little bit different. I think of myself, and when I'm, reading something and getting into it, I actually slow it down and I'll start thinking through every scene and thinking through every this, that, and the other thing and picturing it in my head. And then I hit that part that isn't so good. Like it's just not clicking. It's not right there. It's not whatever. And suddenly the whole thing just kind of shuts down. I go, oh man, I had a good thing going there. And I almost kind of wish that I could just read the whole thing without necessarily going that deep into it and then going, okay, before I give it the attention that it deserves, this has to change and this has to change. And, we have to make some tweaks here. And I think everybody's a little different with that. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that bounce back and forth is kind of one of the most exciting things. To me, it's sort of like music. I've never been a professional musician, but I was in a cover band when I was younger, and I think one of the most exciting things about that was being able to stand on stage and go back and forth with the other musicians and riffing off each other. That kind of collaboration in the room, and I played bass, so I was very, I don't know, sort of intimate with the drummer. The drummer would sort of play something out, and I could nudge him. I always never had a female drummer, so I could nudge him and make him go faster or slower, and speed things up and slow down. And then, of course, the guitar. We were in a Judas Priest band, so we always had like 2 guitarists, and I could nudge them in the same direction. So the comic book seemed to be something similar to me. I base my life around music, and I think that's one of the things I like about comics is that back and forth, that riffing on each other. I'm not sure if that's the same. I mean, does that happen in? Well, let me turn the tables on the writers here. Does that happen on the writers, or do you do it? I would assume your ripping is when you go and send it to your buddy, the editor, and he looks at it and sends it back to you. So that must be similar, right?
Well, what you want the editor to say, it's perfect and nothing needs to change.
I was going to say it's a bloodier process.
Yeah.
it's a far more gruesome process than when the writing gets to you guys, I think.
But
I just want to point out before too much time goes by, did you see Stephen in the comments there?
Yeah, I put it up on the screen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was you or some.
That's exactly why I love working with Ryan.
Yeah, man.
I'm very lucky in that we formed this company, and Mark is my editor. He's my best friend since fourth grade. He knows my brain inside and out, probably better than I do. I do all of I do all of Mark's editing, and I know him. So there's there's a wall that's been taken down there. We're completely honest with each other, but there isn't that wall of separation where this is some stranger in Minneapolis who's just telling me how to write something. And we can riff, James, and that's true. The way that you and I riff when it gets to you, and a lot of times, James, you'll point things out that I missed, or that are better opportunities, or very often you'll just draw it in such a way that I see the story in a different way. And so I think that getting to have a team like this is so great. And Ryan, that seems to be what you and Steven have as well. The way you go back and forth. I know you did a lot of work, talked a lot about issue 1. From the script and then grew it from there. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The script is, it was always great from the beginning. So it was just a matter of trying to make it work as pages, Steven didn't have a lot of experience as far as comic book writing. So it was just like trying to get the right beats and the right kind of flow to make it work as a comic, like how much description do you need? How much, exposition do you need? Kind of the beats page to page, all that kind of stuff, pacing. Those are all considerations that writers that don't really do comics have a different view on, it's a little bit different. So
we're going to do a writer's version of this show and maybe have James interview us, maybe you too, Ryan. So all I'll say here is that I came from prose, short stories and novels, and it was a hell of a thing learning to write a comic. Thinking in still images is a thing into itself, but I won't get any further into that. We're going to wrap it up shortly, so I have a couple more questions, and one of them is I'm going to give you guys a chance to be heard right now. If you could ask writers to stop doing something, what would that be? You get a script and you come across it, and you're like, what is it?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of times. In this panel, it pans right. You look up, or the multiple actions in one panel that don't, it takes out
he
a
tumbled
cigarette,
and threw open the car door. No.
There's a lot of, it's like the slower pace. Like you can't have multiple actions in one panel because then it becomes too much, So it's just kind of learning that beat by beat pacing to make it work.
Steven requested, absolutely say it like it is. I write too much.
Yeah. It's like you have to realize what works as exposition or writing that we'll never see, we'll never need. Like there's a lot of like internal struggle and like all this kind of internal monologue that doesn't translate into comic. Like you don't need it. It might be good to know, but you don't really need that information. It's not going to show on the panel. It's not going to really affect the visual part of the story.
I can tell you what that is. That's the writer telling themselves the story. I do it all the time. I'm working yesterday. I started writing the first issue of what's going to be a young adult series, or actually children's, maybe 4th, 5th grade level. Which I know everyone who knows my writing is shocked. Like,
stay away from the children.
Yeah, how's he going to keep the profanity
man away
and evisceration out of it? But I wrote a line. I wrote Zach looks at him timorously, terrified that he'll be separated from the blah blah blah. And I went and I just kept writing. And later on, I was rereading, and I'm like, well, that's a line out of a novel. What does that mean for the image? It was me telling myself the story. I was trying to find Zach's motivation. And it was more, and I've got to watch those in my edits. I've got to be like, all right, that was needed there, but I can pluck that out now and say.
I was about to say, this is when it goes to the editor. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What word is that? What?
Yeah. So that by the time it gets to you, it's the facial expression as opposed to what his deep thoughts are. James, what about you? If you could tell a writer, me, to stop doing something, what would that be? Writing.
Well, you've gotten a lot better with the. I would originally say what Ryan said. I think that might be a symptom of Stephen not doing a lot of comic work yet. Christian used to be really bad at that. He would have 6 things in a supposed panel, and I was like, well, you can't do all that in there. I think one of the things now, it kind of works in a little bit with what Christian is saying. There's nothing worse than, and you brought it up before, Ryan, than saying, hey, we're blah, 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 blah. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And you got just like face panels back and forth. Not only do I not like drawing that, but I hate seeing that in comics as well. There was one in one of our containment breaches. I forget which one it was. They'll remain nameless, but there were so many like talking heads in there. And I could tell that they were just kind of the artist was going over their lines and just changing a little bit. And it drove me nuts. That sort of exposition, Christian calls it, telling the story and, leading the audience along too much. I think, sometimes I'll still have to beat that out of Christian. If they're too stupid to follow the storyline, who cares? You can't be too high-minded, but by the same token, you can't dumb yourself down too much, because then, the people that are really appreciating your stuff, they don't need to have it spoon-fed to them,
Yeah, it's what's funny is, that any writer in the room is going to say the whole show not tell thing. But what's funny about graphic art is, of course, you have to show it. It's a visual medium, but you guys have to show it. So we can just, say the lines or whatever it is, and we can give you a direction or a nod or something. But ultimately, you guys are the ones showing it. And I think for a lot of writers, first of all, show don't tell can be difficult to begin with. But then when you throw that extra layer on of, you can't, you can describe things to the artist, but not to the
audience.
I want to say consumer, the audience, quite the same way as you could in a novel. So, like I read Stephen down there going, I write too much. I write. Yeah, because you're a great writer. And this is a medium that requires you to unlearn everything you've learned and come at it from a completely different way. So it sounds
and
right.
Stephen's, I've just got the other day, today actually, a text from Stephen telling me that issue 2 is coming at me, the script. And I can't wait, because he is a tremendous writer and he's developed this world. And the big question that we've had, it's coming soon, Dirty Living, is where do you go? How do you open issue 2 after the last panel of issue 1? Wait till you guys see the last panel of issue 1. Holy crap. Oh, it's over there. If you can squint, you can see it.
Magnifying glass.
So cool. It's so cool. I'm not going to show it on the screen here because I don't want to give it away.
Don't show them the goods. Get the money first.
Ryan, I've got to tell you, your art, every time you sent me a new page, it was heart-pounding and exciting. Your art is so beautiful, and you have such a unique approach to the paneling, the angles, character work, and looking through a character's eyes. This is a visceral comic, and you're walking through it. You really feel like you're walking through this world. And I can't wait for people to see what you're doing here. I'm so glad we got to know you and Stephen and Dirty Living and Keith Gleason. Dirty Living is going to knock people's socks off. And it's going to be the first subscription service comic coming once every 3 months from Fugitive Poems on fugitivepoems.com. And before I forget to say it, because we suck, we get all excited about the art and we forget the marketing thing. If you live in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's the 15th, 16th, and 17th, if memory serves, we're going to be at Blood and Ink, the tattoo and horror convention in the county center, the Westchester County Center in White Plains. Come and see me, Mark, and James. We're going to have James. James has done some brand new art for this show that is, oh my Lord,
mind-blowing.
And yeah, and great horror stuff.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, you got to buy one.
There is, I'm not going to describe it at all. There is a Jason image you've never seen before, ever, from anywhere. It's amazing. And this is why so Ryan, you and Steven and James and I, sometimes you just get lucky and you team up with somebody who gets you. And in my case, somebody who has the unbelievable talent to make what you write better. James's style, we've got Stripper Club Sally coming out. And what he has done with this absurd idea is magnificent. So if you want to get a sense of James's work and you're in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, the Westchester County Center in White Plains, come see us and a lot of other wild stuff at the Tattoo and Horror Convention. And Ryan, I wish you were going to be there. Be awesome to hang out. We got to get ourselves up to Massachusetts.
Well, Boston's like a 2.5 hour ride.
Love Boston. Then we can see Dave Sullivan, who's been in the comments here.
Yeah, I saw Sullivan's talking about owl stare. Did you share that?
Yeah. The only story that James and I have not immediately said, yes, we should do it.
That's a children's story.
Oh, it sure is. Any final
one quick question that I have for Ryan. I follow them both on social media. So Steven Beccia, is that how you say his name? Beccia is a very accomplished painter. I was wondering if he goes back and forth with you on I would say particularly maybe colors or something. Does that feed into your process at all, or Steven does some amazing sort of cubist inspired stuff. I was wondering if he goes back and forth with you on some of that stuff.
Just when you thought you were out, Ryan.
No,
he pulled you back in.
He pretty much, he pretty much lets me do what I want. You know, his art is totally separate. It's totally different. You know, it's like fine art. He has a lot of color and all that stuff, but it doesn't really influence the book at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. He didn't have much input as far as anything with the visuals, you know, really. He approved everything. Everything I did, he loved, you know. So there wasn't much back and forth as far as that goes.
Well, we'll have to get together. We'll have to get together for some beers, and I'll show you some of Christian's artwork.
Yeah,
it's a whole archive of it.
The world is not ready yet.
Now, hang on. He does a great Ninja Turtle.
He's way ahead
before
of his time.
I will die on this hill. The man can draw a Ninja Turtle. That's it.
I don't know why.
I draw a pretty good Ninja Turtle.
My skill at the Ninja Turtle somehow never translated to anything else.
He's never loved anything as much as those turtles.
Michelangelo, it's my man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ryan Santos and James Lyons. Getting to know them, getting to know about their artistic process. I am unbelievably lucky. We are unbelievably lucky to have both of these men working with Fugitive Poems. What are we showing?
He's giving it away.
Never seen of Jason before.
All right. That was the tease.
That was it.
You want to see it?
That was the flash.
Come to Westchester.
Mark Capitelli, thank you for being with me on this tonight. Appreciate your co-interviewing, co-interrogating. Ryan, it took us 30 minutes, but you got a good connection.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, this is
I
the longest
thought it-
we've gone, isn't it? I shouldn't say anything. I should shut up.
Yeah.
Ryan, James, thank you. James is co-founder of Fugitive Poems and my partner. I'm the luckiest man in the world. And man, I get to meet people like Ryan and work with people like Ryan. This has been great. It's been a thrill for me tonight. Stay tuned for the art will not. I don't know if you've realized it yet, folks, but the art will not be changing. Happens when we're in the mood. We don't have a time slot. We sort of just appear when something comes into our minds. And I think the show is going to continue to be hit and run like that. But Ryan will be back. We are going to have a writer's circle where we bitch about artists. And so there's a lot coming. You know, that Ryan guy. No,
Now I'm picturing like me
I don't know
sitting
if I
by
can take
myself
it.
in the editor's circle.
Nobody wants to hear from the editors.
These people.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight or whenever you're watching this video, which will be eternally available on the internet until the EMP finally hits. I thank you so much. Go to fugitivepoems.com to get your copies of the Containment Brief series, to get your copy of River, to get your, and by the way, depending on when you're watching this, you can still go to Kickstarter and do a late pledge to get your copy of River. It's coming soon. Keep an eye on Fugitive Poems and your emails. If you haven't subscribed, go to fugitivepoems.com and subscribe. This way you can get updates that tell you about, no, do that again, Ryan, that tell you about Dirty Living. Issue 1 coming very, very, very soon, and it's going to knock you on your ass. It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. I'm so proud that we're going to have that under the Fugitive Poems banner because it's definitely a Fugitive Poems. It's totally awesome. I'm very excited.
Really
that is our inaugural.
People wanting to see it and wanting to get some books, but we'll see.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah. I cannot wait for this to get out there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We are Fugitive Poems, and we make comics.
When we feel like it.